Good day everybody, it's Guy here. Today I want us to look at something very important. As I always say, if you come into your chart and you don't know exactly what you're looking for, you are simply gambling. Go back and learn, because you need to know exactly what you will be looking for way before you even open your charts. Okay, you need to know what must happen for you to execute. You need to know what must happen for you to do nothing on the day. Okay, and it's very important. You need to know when not to do anything and when to actually execute. Okay, so how do we achieve that? It's very simple, guys. Okay, as you can see here, we have steps that we follow. Okay, this is actually the most explosive strategy for indices, and the name is self-explanatory. We don't want to be in something that's playing around. We want to be in something that immediately when we enter it explodes. Okay, so with to do that, we have this criteria over here for this specific strategy. You might be using a different strategy, but you need to have steps that you follow every day. You need to know what must happen for you to execute and what must happen for you to do nothing. That is highly important. Okay, so for this one, this is one of the most easiest strategies out there. Okay, so for this one, you come few minutes before the New York session opens. That means we are only focusing on the New York session. We're gonna be on the charts less than 3 hours a day each and every day. Okay, so we are coming somewhere around here. You see this gray highlighted box, this represents my session time. This is when the New York session opens. Okay, so it is highly important, and I have a number of indicators here. I have this one, which is the previous day's closing price. As you can see, this is where prices closed the previous day. You see, this is where classes close, and this is where prices reached the highest point reached, and this is the highest price, the lowest price reached the previous day. Okay, so this is highly important. We are only coming 10 to 5 minutes before the session begins, so we have the entire day to ourselves. When we come, what do we do? Okay, we ask ourselves this question: what type of trend do you see? Okay, and I will explain this in a moment, because this is very important information. But if you don't see a trend, okay, if you don't see a trend, because they are not always going to give you a trend. Okay, if you don't see a trend, you proceed. If you see a trend, there are different kind of criteria you need to follow. I'll outline them in a moment. Okay, so if there's no trend, you have to ask yourself, who is trapped before the session? Because most of the time they're going to trap in Asian session, they're going to trap in London session. Okay, and during the US session, they might lead you into trap volume just to trap you. So I'm going to use this image over here. Okay, this is on the playbook, which is in the description. Okay, where I've outlined the entire strategy on a playbook so that anybody can read. Okay, so look at this, guys. This is during the Asian session, and this is during the London session, and this is my box here. This is the New York session. Okay, so mostly they use the entire day to trap, and they're gonna trap below or above the closing price, because indices move during the New York session. Okay, why? Because obviously the stock market actually opens at 9:30 a.m. US time, and indices are a group of stocks. Okay, so obviously they're gonna move when the stock market opens. Okay, so look at this. Most of the day they're gonna trap below or above the closing price. On this day here, what did they do? They send people down and down. Okay, and just before the session opened, I told you we are coming 10 to 5 minutes before the session opens. Just before the session opens, what do? They move away from this trap, guys. Okay, so in this case, we know who is trapped. Some days you won't even know who is trapped, hence why if you look at the color here, it's green, you proceed. Okay, and this is the only criteria you proceed without. Okay, however, for the red ones, you don't go to the next one unless the previous one is met. And what is step 2? Step 2 is to wait for the New York session to open. Okay, step 2 is to wait for the session to open. This is not rocket science. You just wait. Okay, you just wait. Okay, for me, the session opens over here. Okay, this is the first candle that opens the session, and we don't do anything on the first candle. We don't execute on the first candle. Why? Because this is when the market is opening. This is when most of the orders are coming into the market, and there is going to be very big moves here. Okay, so once this has been met, what do we want to do? Okay, once this has been met, what do we do? Okay, fine. Now we need to identify who is trapped during the session. How do we achieve that? We need chart patterns. Okay, we need chart patterns. we need what? We need chart patterns here. Okay, this is highly important. We have a variety of chart patterns. What do chart patterns do? Chart patterns actually tells us what the insiders have been doing. 90% of my executions are based on triangle. If you have a chart pattern like this actually gives you important information. It tells you that they've been accumulating. It tells you that they've been trapping. Okay, let me show you something very easy, because I said I'm gonna try to explain in detail. Okay, if you look at this image over here, okay, if you look at what I have on the screen over here, you will realize that, okay, the session opened. We wait for the session to open, right? And once the session opens, there are gonna be moves. We are not gonna chase moves, okay? We don't care what happens, okay, unless we have something we understand. And why is it that we do something like this? Because guys, we don't have an edge. Well, for this strategy, if you're using another strategy, you might have an edge here, but if you are using this one, we don't have an edge. We only have an edge once we know what the insiders have been doing. Okay, we know the insiders have been doing this. That's where it gives us an edge. Okay, if you look here, let's say the session opened over here, okay, and prices did what? They corrected and they went up. We're not simply gonna be chasing prices because they went up. No, we're gonna wait for them to tell us who is trapped. And how do they tell us who is trapped? By building a chart pattern. Okay, this is highly important. They tell us who is trapped by doing what? By building a chart pattern. Okay, so in this case here, they built a triangle. How will you know if a chart pattern has been built? Obviously, you need points where they touch repeatedly, and your job is just to draw lines. They are gonna do that, believe me. Okay, you just have to be patient enough to wait for them to do that. Okay, as you can see right here, this is a triangle. Okay, so what does this mean? This simply tells us that one of our criteria has been met. Okay, one of our criteria has been met. In this case over here, you see they give us a triangle here. Okay, they give us a triangle. All you need is to have points where they touch repeatedly, then you draw your line. Sometimes it's not going to be a triangle, it's going to be a head and shoulder. Sometimes it's going to be a rectangle. Okay, you just need to know that for you to have an edge with this one, you need to know what the insiders have been doing, and you'll only know what the insiders have been doing when you have something like a chart pattern. So now we go to the next criteria. Okay, we go to the next criteria, which is wait for an evidence candle. Okay, an evidence candle is the biggest candle that breaks out of the pattern. That's why here I actually try to use this thing here, which shows a very big candle. That's the big candle we need to see. It's the big candle that breaks out of the pattern. Why? Because when they break out with a big candle, they've shifted the zone. Everybody who sold is completely trapped. Okay, and this candle is so big. Why? Because when it's big, immediately it shifts the zone. Those who used a big size and those who over leveraged are immediately at huge losses. And you know that when you are immediately at huge losses, it's hard to close. You want to rely on hope. Okay, that's where hope gets activated. You want them to come to break even so that you can exit. You know you are wrong, but you can't close because the loss is too big. Okay, that is actually fear. You can't close because the loss is too big. Okay, so guys, sometimes the evidence candle, let's say what happens if the evidence candle was given towards the downside. If it was given towards the downside, then we know that these guys over here are trapped. Okay, if you take it, most likely they might do something like this, come and bounce on the closing price and reverse. You need to know that when they have people trapped up here, down here, there's three things that are gonna happen. They're gonna lead you into trap volume so that you sell and they buy. After they bought, they reversed the direction because now they got everything they needed. Okay, or else what are they gonna do? Or else they're gonna give you this candle over here and they're gonna go all the way down. As you can see, these are the people who are trapped, right? They might do this and reverse. If they do this and reverse, obviously they stop hunted these guys. They came for the liquidity that was down here, and if your targets were way down, you are actually gonna come back for a surprise. Okay, and then yes, of course, the third scenario is where they will do this and they just go to the downside. Okay, so you need to be safe and you need to be aware of these things because these are the things that are going to keep happening over and over again. So what we do is, if you are going to be taking, let's say they break to the downside, if you're going to be taking it to the downside, you need to know something very important. You need to know that, okay, if you're going to be targeting, say for instance 100 points, okay, 100 points, you need to know that you need at least more than 100 points until they get to this point here. If you have 200 points from here to here, you know that they're gonna give you 100 points. However, if you're targeting 100 points and here you only have maybe 45 points from where the evidence candle is being given to the point whereby they will have released all these guys, you know that now you are at risk. Why? Because you're targeting 100 but they only have 45. So I told you there are three possibilities. One is where they will come, send you down, 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 and reverse. Therefore, you're not gonna get your target, you're actually gonna get your stops hit. Okay, so this is why you need to know that if you're taking an opportunity into trap volume, you need to know that you have enough space for your target, okay, way before they release these guys, because sometimes they're gonna send you down and reverse, or just come enough to stop hunt these guys and reverse, or else they're gonna go down. Okay, so you need to know that you are safe, provided they do the worst scenario. Okay, because you can't possibly prepare for all the scenarios. You just need to be aware that if they are going to be sending people down, your target has to get hit. Okay, so now I've explained that. Okay, I've explained that, and now I said, what are we going to do? We're waiting for the evidence candle, and I told you the evidence candle is the big candle that breaks out of the pattern. I have this here for you. Okay, this is where most people get it wrong. Okay, this is where most people get it wrong. This is the session. Okay, we only know what to do when we have a pattern. Okay, let's say for instance, some people see the pattern, and then immediately when this candle breaks to the upside, what do? They enter. Immediately they enter. Okay, let's say this is what happened. Immediately people enter over here. Okay, and they put their stops. We said our stops are maximum 25. Okay, so here I just want to show you something. Okay, let's say people put their stops, let's say these stops are 25. Okay, let's say people do this and they have what their targets wherever they want to have their targets. Guys, it's important to know that most of the time they will come and do something like this. And if they do something like this, what does this mean? This means because you entered before the candle could even close, when they close like this, you are trapped. You are trapped. You are trapped. Most likely they are going to go to the downside, okay, or they will hit your stops. So they hit your stops because you entered too early. You need to wait for this one to close, because until it closes, you don't know if it's evidence or not. I told you, evidence is the big candle that breaks out. Okay, so how do you know? You know it when they close. Okay, so this is important. Always wait for the what? For the close. Always wait for the close, because most of the time when there's 5 seconds left, they will pull down and do something like this. This is what they will do most of the time. Okay, and if they get you here, you just know that you are actually the one to blame. Why? Because you are impatient. You couldn't wait for them to do what? To actually and there's no one to blame in this case. It's you. Okay, I want to explain a lot of things here. Okay, that's why I actually took my time to actually do this. Okay, that's why I took my time to actually do this. Okay, fine guys. Okay, let me close this over here. So look at this, look at this, look at this. Okay, we say this candle must do what? Must close. Okay, we say this candle must close. I'm gonna dwell more here because this is one of the most important parts. Okay, so when this candle closes, again, there are three possibilities. Okay, there are three possibilities. Okay, the first possibility is they're gonna do something like this. Okay, sorry guys, please bear with me. Okay, because I want to explain something very important here. The first scenario is that they are gonna do something like this. Okay, they're gonna do something like this. Okay, it's fine, let's just keep it here like this. Okay, this color is a little bit different, but it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Okay, it really doesn't matter. Okay, let's say they can do something like this. They can go. Okay, go. Okay guys, just bear with me. Okay, let's say they can go like this, as you see here. Okay, they can go, and then again they can just keep on going to a point whereby they will hit your target. Okay, let's say they'll go all the way to hitting your target. This is why I say I'm a breakout guy. I always want to enter on my breakouts. Why? Because I know that sometimes they're gonna go straight. Okay, so I know that, guys. Remember, there's three possibilities to everything that happens when it comes to prices. Okay, so this is what they can do. You can enter. Okay, you can enter. like this, okay, and they can go straight and hit your take profit. Okay, let's say that is your take profit. They can go straight and actually do what? Actually hit it. Okay, they can go straight and actually hit it, or else they can do something different. Okay, they can go and then do something like this. They can now retest. Okay, they can retest. I told you there are three possibilities to everything that happens when it comes to prices. Okay, it's highly important to understand and know this. Okay, they can retest. Okay, if they retest like this is important. If they retest like this, they can actually do what? Because you entered here, and let's say your steps were on 25, they can close you. Okay, we don't want to have big stops. Why? Because of the next scenario that I will explain in a moment. Okay, in this case, they can close you. Let's say they did something like this. Okay, let's say they did something like this. Okay, let's say they did something like this. They gave you okay, a number of candles. I just want to be as realistic as I can. Okay, let's say they gave you something like this. Okay, let's say they gave you something like this. Okay, I'm just trying to give you something more realistic. Okay, more realistic. Let's say they gave you something like this. Okay, you saw the first scenario, right, where they went up and hit your target. Okay, let's say the second scenario is where they can do something like this. Okay, something like this. Okay, they can do something like this, and we all know what this is gonna do. Obviously, if you entered and your stops were here, they can do something like this and close you. And do what? And close you. Okay, and close you. Then next, what they can do is they can come and do something like this. Okay, I want you to understand these things because they are important. Okay, they can come next and do something like this. Okay, and then give you a super green. Okay, super green. Okay, sorry guys. Okay, sorry, because this is where most people get it wrong. Okay, they can do something like this. Okay, of course, in this case here, let's say they did what? Let's say they did close you, but again, they come and do something like this. You know what this means? This means they retested on you. Yes, there are days when they will retest and actually do what? Actually kick you out of your stops. Okay, but when they do this, what do? I enter again. Okay, I enter again because this is now a retest. Okay, let's say my stops are 20. I just want my stops to be 20. Okay, I can enter again. I enter again here, and then I put my target again. Okay, so this is highly important for you to know that they are gonna do two things. Firstly, they will do what? They can go straight and hit your TP. Okay, they can go straight and hit your TP. Okay, or they can do what? They can do something like this. Okay, they can do something like they can go and then retest and then reconfirm. We know that they can retest, guys. That's reality. Okay, and this is what separates most people who are not profitable from those who are profitable. Okay, sometimes the move is not denied. Okay, sometimes the move is not denied. Okay, they just came and closed you, so you can enter again. Let's say, for instance, you entered on this candle here because this was the big breakout when you look at it. Okay, we waited for it to close. Let's say we entered on this one and then they came down. Let's say our 25 in this case was here. Okay, 25, we don't go exceed 25. Okay, very important because we need 1:2. Okay, let's say, for instance, you entered here and they retested and did not close you. The moment they surpass this level here, that's where you enter again. Okay, you enter again. Why is it that we enter again the moment they surpass this level over here? It's because, guys, this is how you scale in. This is how you actually scale in for more. Very, very important. Okay, very, very important. Okay, this is where we scale in. So in this way, you don't need a super big move to actually make more. Okay, you don't need a super big move, and each target here has to target the same. If you are targeting 50 here, you also target 50 here. Okay, so it's important, guys, for this candle to be the biggest candle. Okay, it's important for this candle to be the biggest candle. If it's not the biggest candle, then those who went down, they are actually not trapped. When this candle closes over here, the people whose orders got fulfilled here down here because of spreads, they are at huge losses, and they're not going to close because they're going to be relying on hope. Okay, so I believe we understand here. I believe we understand. For scaling in, this must be an engulfing candle. Okay, if it's just a small candle like this, you don't scale in. You don't scale in. Okay, if it's just something like this, you don't scale in. Okay, it's very important. If it's just something like this, you don't scale in. For you to scale in, it must be what? A huge engulfing candle. So I believe we understand each other here. I believe we understand each other here. And then, of course, the last scenario, guys, is where let's say you'll be completely wrong and they will be going to the downside. Okay, this is where you'll know that you are completely wrong and you lost it. Okay, so with this strategy has a high win rate, so with a high win rate you are good. Okay, so these are the scenarios you need to know that exist. These scenarios exist. They are gonna go straight, or else they're gonna retest, confirm your move, or else they are gonna give you this scenario where you are completely wrong and they will close you, and then you move on, guys. If they do something like this, don't try to wait for them and take other execution. Just close everything. Accept red. There is power in accepting defeat. There is power in accepting defeat. Okay, this is something Larry Williams loves to say. Okay, in his book he wrote, take defeat. Like, it's important to accept defeat because you're not always gonna close green. The problem now comes when you are now trying to close green when you took the loss. No, guys, it's important to understand that there is still tomorrow, because one thing prices will do best is they take the possibility of tomorrow away from you. In other words, they cloud you. You now think that it all ends today, and the moment you start thinking like that, or the moment you get into that mode, you are actually more likely gonna lose more, or you're gonna blow your account. Okay, so guys, you're gonna have many wins. Okay, this strategy has a high win rate. You're gonna have many wins, but when you are red, when you are wrong, accept defeat and move on. Accept defeat and move on. And one thing I've realized is people tend to blame themselves when something like this happens. It happens. It happens. As long as everything here was right, as long as you followed all the criteria as outlined here, okay, as outlined here, guys, you did everything correct. There's still tomorrow. There's still many more wins to come. Okay, so guys, pay close attention here. Okay, this evidence candle is not the only thing we are looking for. Okay, for an entry, it must happen at the right time. This is a watch. Okay, and you know that we have different kind of time frames. Okay, we need executions from here. The evidence candle must happen between 50 to 10 pause. That's the only time we take it. If it happens somewhere here, we don't take it. Okay, again, we take it as close as possible to the half pass. Okay, if it happens from 20 past to 40, that's where we take it, but preferably we want the one that happens from 55 to 5 pass, and from 25 to 35, because this is as close as possible to the half pass, and above here this is as close as possible to the o'clock. So in short, we need evidence candles that happen as close as possible to the o'clock mark or to the half hour mark. This is highly important. Why? Because, guys, remember, we have different time frames. We have 1 minute, we have 5, 10, 15, we have 30. All this that I mentioned close here. This is when all these candles are closing. The 1, the 5, the 15, and the 30 minutes, they are closing here. So when they trap, they are gonna trap people on different time frames. And worse with this one, because this is where the 4 hour closes, this is where the hour closes, this is where the 30 minutes closes, 50 minutes closes. All these other time frames are closing at the o'clock, except the daily, of course, and the weekly and the monthly. Okay, but there are many time frames closing at these times here. That is when they are gonna be shifting their zones. So in simple terms, this evidence candle here must happen at the correct time. It's important. It must happen either at 00 or as close as half past. Okay, this is the time, as close as possible to the o'clock mark or as close as possible to 00. It's very, very important to know that, okay? This is the time, okay? It must be as close as possible to the o'clock or as close as possible to the half past. So there's a lot of things that come into here. I know people think, oh, liquidity grab patterns don't work. Guys, there's a lot of things that come into this, okay? First of all, we have a pattern. This is a 1 minute time frame, okay? So on a 5 minute time frame, you might not see the pattern. You might see something like a rarer track, okay? On a 15 minutes, you might see like something like some people call it morning star or whatsoever, okay? It's one of the most powerful candlestick pattern. On a 15 minute time frame, you might see something like this. I just want to show you something. Okay, you might see something like this where we have this green one, and then here we have something like a doji, okay? Because people, you must understand, before you start saying patterns don't work, okay, this is happening on a 1 minute time frame, okay? And most people who are not using this time frame will be seeing something different. And here we are leveraging time, okay? We are leveraging time. It's very important for you to understand this, okay? On a 15 minutes, you might see something like this. This is a very, by the way, this is a very powerful candlestick pattern, not chart pattern, but candlestick pattern. You might see something like this, okay, where they give you something like this. Very powerful. This is very, very powerful, okay? This is very, very powerful. You need to know that this is highly powerful, okay? You on a 15 minutes, somebody might be seeing this. On a 30-minute chart, somebody might be seeing a pin, okay? Only a pin. So you need to know, it's not about you saying, oh, chart patterns don't work. No, it's about you understanding what is happening when we talk about chart pattern, okay? This is on a 1 minute time frame. We are leveraging on time, and we are also leveraging on what they are doing elsewhere, but we don't have to go and look at a 5 minute time frame what they're doing. No, this tells us everything. And then of course, guys, there's something I want to show you, okay? There's something I have to show you. Okay, you see here, when you are actually adding size, most of the time you're gonna see something like this, something like this. This is now a very, very powerful, it's the same thing I just explained a minute ago. It's a very powerful candlestick pattern, not chart pattern, but candlestick pattern, where they give you a big candle going down. Now they give you an inside. This it must be an inside, okay? They give you an inside. This is an inside candle, okay? Sorry guys, the drawing is obviously not going to be perfect, and the more I dwell on it, the more time it's going to take, okay? They might give you something like this, okay? This is a very, very powerful candlestick pattern. Why? Because this is something powerful. The big candle going down, inside candle, and then this engulfing candle. This is where you add size, and most of the time they're going to give you something like this. This is highly reliable, okay? So I've shared a lot of things right here with you, but let's just proceed because I want to show you something on the charts again in a minute, okay? So we have explained the times, right? So the evidence must happen at the right time, and that's when you execute, okay? So this is highly important. So what do? We use this tick box over here. It has everything, but we're gonna start filling it from the pattern, okay? We're gonna start filling it from the pattern. So guys, I told you something different. Okay, let's first go to the chart quite quick. If you look at this, yes, some days you won't be able to identify who is trapped, okay? Some days you won't be able to identify who is trapped. Days like this, these are days when they go down and they go up, and the session is opening in the middle. So when the session is opening in the middle, you can go without any problem. You don't know who is trapped. Remember, the reason we need to know is trapped is because if they are giving us an opportunity into trap, guys, we need to be aware of that, okay? But if we don't have trap volume, any opportunity is good, okay? So if you look at this is our S&P, okay? Look, they went down. We don't do anything until we have what? A chart pattern. And I just explained to you a chart pattern, okay? I explained everything you need to know, okay? Everything you need to know. If you look at this right here, you'll realize that, okay, they do something like this, okay? They do something like this, okay? You don't have an edge until you know what has been happening. This is a pin, and I chose this one because it's different, okay? because here they use pins, not bodies, okay? But this is where prices came, and this is where prices came. There are people who have been sent down, there are people who have been sent down, and then they stop hunted them, okay? So you need points that are touched repeatedly. This is highly important. You need points that have been touched repeatedly, okay? Points that have been touched repeatedly, okay? Points that have been touched repeatedly. And I want to show you this using our tick box, okay? You see, this is a triangle, okay? Let's go back to our tick box. Our tick box, do you have a pattern? Yes, we have a triangle, okay? Triangle. And here is the pattern perfect. For a pattern to be perfect for me, it has to have 3 touches down and 3 touches up, okay? So we're just gonna go back and try to see if our pattern is perfect. Okay, does it have 3 touches up? Okay, 1, 2. Okay, the third one is can be the breakout, it's okay, but it has to have B3, okay? And do we have 3 down? 1, 2, 3. Obviously this is perfect, okay? This is perfect, okay? So we write here is pattern time. The time, why do we put in the time? Because if it takes more than an hour to build a pattern, then we can target 100 points, provided it's the NAS or Dow, okay? If it's S&P, Standard & Poor, we target ×2. This case it will be, we're targeting 200, okay? Because if the pattern takes above an hour to build up, then we target hundreds. But for S&P, we'll target 200. Oh wow, this is S&P, okay? So let's look at the time it takes to build a pattern. It took 47 minutes, okay? For 47 minutes you target 50 pips. For S&P, obviously you can target 100 because S&P is double volatile as the other ones, okay? So now we are coming back. It took less than 1 hour. This is important. If it's less than 1 hour, then we target 50. So we know S&P is ×2. Here we'll be targeting 100, okay? And then do we have an evidence candle? We just outlined everything. I just explained everything, okay? I just explained everything with you guys, okay? Do you have an evidence candle? Oh yes, we have it. It's the big candle that breaks out. You see, this candle is bigger than this candle here, okay? It must be bigger than the candle from the last touch, or almost equal if inside we have a big candle, okay? This is evidence. This is evidence, right? This is the evidence we have been looking for, okay? Okay, now we are left with one last question to ask ourselves, okay? Yes, we have an evidence, and the last thing is the time of the pattern. We just spoke about the times, so we need to know exactly what time everything happened, okay? We need to know what time everything happened. If you look here, this actually happened at 1446. So we don't take it, okay? We don't take it. It's a wrong. Why? Because the time is bad. The time is horrible. We spoke about the times. So this happens at 46. If you go back to your clock, I chose this one because this happens frequently, okay? So if you look here, we spoke about the times. These are the time, but in this case it happens somewhere here out of our acceptable time. So what do? Nothing. We don't take it, okay? We don't take it, okay? Okay, sorry guys, sorry. So we don't take it, okay? We don't take it. But when you look here, what did they do? They came and retested. They came and retested and gave another big candle. This is what we have been talking about, okay? This is what we have been talking about. So when they retest, now this is highly reliable. So we chose this one. We chose this one because we don't take it because the evidence candle wasn't good. Now you see the retest falls within our time. We take the retest, and then again our stops are below the retest, okay? I hope you understand this, because this is the very same thing I've been explaining here, okay? If the candle is not in time, you leave it. I just showed you the times, okay? If that candle is not within the right time, you leave it, okay? And now for that one, they did what? They retested, and they went up with what? With an engulfing. So guys, this is highly important. They went up with an engulfing. You see, this is a huge engulfing candle, okay? Pin engulf, okay? Pin engulf is another strong candlestick pattern, just as the one that I showed you recently. But I hope you understand this one, okay? And then again, if we look again at the NAS, same thing. Let's go. Who is trapped? Okay, they went down. Session is opening in the middle, okay? When we are coming 10 to 5 minutes, we don't know it's trapped, okay, because it's in the middle. So any opportunity given is good to go, okay? And what do? They go up. We don't chase prices, okay? We don't chase prices. I say this, we don't chase prices. What do they do later? They do something like this. This is what they did, okay? And when they did this, this became a head and shoulder. Okay, guys, I just want to be quite quick here. But the objective was to show you what happens because this is something you already know. I've been explaining this for the longest time. Okay, this is a head and shoulder. I did explain this kind of things too many times. And what do? They give you the evidence. Is it at the right time? That's what you have to ask yourself. Yes, it's 36, so it's still within the right time. So you see, we don't do anything until we have an edge. We have an edge when we have a pattern, okay? We have an edge when we have a pattern, okay? And if you think this pattern doesn't exist, guys, I gave you everything. I gave you everything you need. I gave you everything you need, okay? Because if you now come to page 13, if you come to page 13, that's where I gave you like head and shoulders. You see, the one that I just drew for you is something like this. You see, it's this one over here. It does exist, okay? I gave you a lot of patterns, different triangles. All these patterns do exist. You see, this is the inverted side part of this one. It does exist. It is there, okay? It is there, okay? So these are things that do exist. The evidence candle given at the right time, okay? And then later, what do? Later, they give you something like this. You see, for you to identify a chart pattern, you just need points where they touch repeatedly. And I chose this one now because it has something very special. Guys, if you see this, this is powerful. I spoke about candlestick patterns that are powerful, but this is equally powerful. This is powerful, okay? Yes, they don't have 3 touches here, but this is powerful. When they come and send people to the wrong direction but really don't go, this is where they just give a slight pullback, and then they give you a huge evidence candle. You'll understand more of this when you actually put in the work into practicing, okay? And then they give you an evidence candle. But again, guys, everything must be at the right time, okay? This is 39, correct time. And what do? You enter here, they give you a retest. Okay, remember your stops are here, 25 pips, okay? Okay, let's just see where 25 pips was so that we don't confuse. You see, your stops are back inside, okay? Your stops are back inside. Your stops are somewhere here. You entered here, right? You entered here. Okay, this is exactly what I was explaining. You took your entry here, they retested, and here is that combination I just showed you. Okay, here is that combination that I showed you. Candlestick pattern. Candlestick pattern. If you read the book, the Candlestick Bible, you will understand these candlestick patterns, okay? This is not where we are talking a chart pattern, but we are talking about candlestick patterns, okay? Look at this, guys. This is the very same strong combination I showed you. The 3 candle combination I showed you, okay? B candle going down, inside, engulf. Powerful, powerful. So these are the type of execution that give you the biggest opportunity, okay? Yes, this pattern might have taken less than an hour to build. You target 50, okay? So yes, it's 50, but both positions now have their own 50. And as you can see, this is where they go and go and go. Let's see where your 50 was. The first 50 is where? The first 50 is somewhere here. 16 minutes, right? And then the second 50, each position must target its own 50, right? And then the second 50 is here. You see, less than 30 minutes, 100 locked. It doesn't matter how big the move is. The most important thing is you took what was yours and you left the charts, okay? So most of the days you're gonna be in profits. Yes, there are days when you will lose, as I explained, but guys, accept defeat as much as you want to accept profits, okay? Most people struggle with accepting defeats, but they always want to accept profits. So guys, everything we spoke about happens repeatedly, and you need to know what you're looking for way before you even come to your charts. I've tried to explain these things even over here. I've explained days when you will be completely wrong and they will actually close you. Accept. I explained how to actually take advantage of retest and scale in. For me, I'm a breakout girl because I know that most of the time they're not going to close me. So even if they retest, I'm still going to have an edge. Why? Because I add more. That means I get double on that day, okay? But of course, some days they will come and go straight. If they go straight, yes, I'm in one position, okay? And in this case here, You don't have to go full size on the first position, because sometimes they will retest and that's where you'll add more size. Okay, so that's very important. I believe you understood all these things that I've been sharing with you. Okay, how to identify a pattern when they have repeated touches. Okay, so guys, one last thing I'll tell you is okay, of course, remember we ignored this part here. I said we will come to it later. This is highly now important. Why? Because if you have a trend, what do you do? If you have a trend, what do you do? Sorry. If you have a trend, what do you do? Playbook again. I gave you everything. You see, I gave you creeping trends. A creeping trend has different kind of trends on its own. And by the way, most people don't know, because I don't say this frequently. Okay, these are different. These are strategies on themselves. So you have different kind of strategies on this playbook. Okay, for creeping trend, you have a strategy based on the creeping trend. So if you're coming to your charts before and you realize you are in a creeping trend, you are in a different strategy all along. Okay, this strategy has its own entry criteria. If you come and realize you are in an explosive trends have two different kind of trends under them. Okay, but these are different kind of strategies on themselves. These are different kind of strategies on themselves. If you are in a normal trend, guys, these are different kind of strategies on themselves. Let's give ourselves an example. Just go to page 9. If you're in page 9 of this playbook, you see this is a creeping trend. You see it by two different trend lines on different levels. And by the way, I explained this because it happened on Thursday. Yes, it happens on Thursday. It happened on Thursday. I'll show you in a minute. Okay, I'll show you in a minute. You see this? This is a creeping trend. It has its own entry criteria. You can enter the trade when prices bounce off the previous low and move away with a strong engulfing candle. Okay, I told you each and every trend under this book is a different kind of strategy, and there are multiple different kinds of trends. Okay, for explosive we have two, one going up and one going down. Okay, you see I told you you can enter during the session when they bounce off the recent high from the second trend line. For the one going down, I told you when they bounce on the recent low, okay, from the second line. This is exactly what I said here, and I actually showed you where they bounce. Even here, I showed you everything. When they bounce over this point here, okay, when they bounce over this point here, that's where you enter. This is a strategy standing alone. And just to prove that to you, that this is a strategy standing alone, if we go to the NAS on Thursday, this week on Thursday, it happened many times last week. Okay, so now okay, if you look at this, our session now starts at what? Because of US daylight saving time, our session actually starts at 14:30. Okay, 14:30. This is where our session starts. Okay, this is where our session actually does what? This is where our session starts now because of daylight saving times. Okay, but look guys, look at this, this is the NAS. This is something I took this week. Okay, I took this week. Guys, these are strategies on themselves, and I know guys, you don't know that, but this is a different strategy all on its own. Okay, on its own. Okay, so the session opens. Okay, the session opens somewhere here. What do they do when the session opens? This is the candle that opens the session. I told you we don't do anything. Okay, first of all, you see this is an explosive trend. Explosive. Okay, trend lines on different levels. The same thing I've just showed you on the playbook. The same thing I've showed you here. It's the same thing. We had a trend line, then we had a trend line on a different level. Okay, you can still draw this line like this. Okay, so what happened here? Okay, you see it opens, and what happens? They go up, they retest. Okay, they retest, they go up, they retest. So this is our high, because we don't want to take the first candle. Okay, so we're not going to be talking about the first candle when the session opens, right? So this is the recent high because they came here, and when they retested, by the way, they retested on what? On the 20 moving average. Okay, you can see they touched it. Okay, now what do we want? We want to see them coming down and bouncing off this high, with a huge engulfing. And if you look at this, engulfments are very powerful. You see, they move away from this high with an engulfment. They move away from this high with an engulfment. Do you see what this is? This is exactly this. They move from the second one, they come and bounce here, and now we wait for them to come and bounce again, and we enter on the big what? We enter on the big what? On the strong engulfment. You can enter the, okay, when price bounce off the previous low, could be a high depending on is it going up or down, and move away with a strong engulfment candle on the second line. Exactly what we had. Exactly what we had. Exactly what we had. Sorry guys, this video is getting too long, but this is exactly what we had. So one thing I want to show you is that you don't know the power that you have in your hands because you don't pay close attention to this. Okay, this is power. This is power. This is power. This is power. Okay, this one has different kind. I think it has roughly 9 trends under it. Okay, and this one has 2. I gave you all these things, and this one has also other trends under it. These are different strategies on themselves. You have entry criteria. When you are in a creeping trend, it's going to be the easiest execution ever, and this will have a huge impact on the account. It might be a small account, but this is where you can have 1:10, okay, 1:12, okay. This is where you're going to have the best risk reward and the most easiest execution. Okay, that's why I told you guys, if you are in any form of a trend, you are gonna get the most easiest executions by far. Okay, if you don't have a trend, then you follow this strategy. If you have a trend, guys, you have a different kind of strategy on its own. I didn't say this most of the time because I wanted people to master one thing, but these are different kind of strategies on themselves. The power that you have, this can give you 1:12. You have these things on your playbook. You forget. Some of you don't want to read. Guys, I've given you this strategy, okay, and now I've given you another strategy, many strategies under this same playbook. Just that you don't know how many strategies you have, but you have more than 12 strategies on this playbook, but you don't know because you never bothered reading it. And I didn't want to tell you this because I wanted you to understand this. I wanted you to go back and read and understand for yourself. And right now, probably on Wednesday, I'm gonna add more examples of patterns that should not be taken. Okay, they perform very well, but people tend to confuse the evidence candle. People have troubles when it comes to the evidence candle, okay, because sometimes this candle can have something like a pin, and then the next candle can be bigger. Okay, this can be a very big candle, but it has a pin. So I'm gonna give you multiple examples on how to actually tackle things like this. But this is what I want you to understand. So if they broke down to the downside and they were giving an opportunity to the downside, you need to have enough points to a point whereby they'll release those guys, okay, so that your target gets hit, provided you remember what we shared at the beginning of this video. So guys, this video is way too long, but I believe you got the best value out of it, more especially when I explained the patterns in detail, because I've explained everything that you need to know. Okay, and guys, I really appreciate you. If you are new, hit the subscription so that you don't miss. This is the most easiest strategy, and this strategy will pay you big time. And remember, when they're building a pattern, don't be subjective. Don't say because they're gone up, they are going to continue up. No, you must execute based on what prices are telling you in the now moment, because there are many people who have a lot of knowledge, and on the day, maybe everything, fundamentals and price action is telling them that prices are going to go up, and they get married to the narrative that prices have to go up, even though they are given an opportunity. Like for instance, they give you this pattern here, and this evidence candle, let's say for instance, is like this. Let's say this evidence candle tends to be something like this. Okay, sorry, let's say this a candle tends to be something like this, and it's obviously a red candle. Okay, it's a red candle, and you don't have all these other candles. If they give you something like this, you're gonna fight it. But they are telling you we are going down. We have trapped everybody going up, we have trapped everybody going up, and we have trapped everybody going up, and we are going down. Just because you have decided that they have to go up, you actually tend fighting them. Okay, guys, you don't do that. Be objective. Okay, execute from the perspective of price action. Do what they are telling you, not what you think they are gonna do, because at the end of the day they are always right and you are wrong. Okay, so guys, I appreciate you. Have a beautiful Sunday. Cheers.